cool evening in November come a-calling for this great game. Holly Saunders is downstairs, who talks about the first time ever for one P.J. Fleck in this storied building.
That's exactly right, Tim. It might be a little surprising for a Midwest man like P.J. Fleck. Tonight is the first night ever that he has been to the big house. And he and his wife Heather spent a little time before the game, long before game time actually, just tossing the football back and forth, taking it all in. And to help his young team with this environment, the Gophers tried to simulate the noise by blasting the Michigan Fight song all week long at practice. And now, Tim, they also have the elements to contend with. So we'll see if this young Gopher team can step up to the challenge.
Yeah, when you think about it too, Holly, having coached at Western Michigan, had a team that went undefeated all the way to the Cotton Bowl a year ago, he certainly knew about this building. He grew up around it. As you see the series history, dominated obviously by Michigan. This oldest trophy in college football, though, still matters deeply to both of these programs. Jim Harbaugh, so successful everywhere he's been, now in his third season, looking for another 10-win year. And given what happened earlier today, suddenly Michigan could say, well, we've got all of it in front of us right now. We've got to play Wisconsin in a couple of weeks. We've got the battle with Ohio State to close out the season come Thanksgiving weekend. So they're right back in this thing within their division. They won the toss, have deferred, and Minnesota will receive.
Tim, they've got to see this as a huge opportunity. And talking to Jim Harbaugh, he gave us the sense that the crowd is tough out here, treating them more like a 2-6 team as opposed to a 6-2 team. Again, with what happened today as the backdrop, you got to be walking a little bit straighter. That's another opportunity on the platform.
Yeah, well, as the Hall of Famer Dan Deerdorf told us when we did our preview a little earlier, a longtime colleague of ours and former Monday Night Football commentator, in addition to being a great player here at Michigan for Bo Schembechler back in the day, he said 6-2 is good at most places.
Not here, boy.
Not at Michigan.
He looked good, though, too, didn't he?
Yes, he did. So great to see him. He's in the booth right next to us, and it was marvelous to finally meet his wife. That is James Fogg, 31, who handles the kickoff chores for the Wolverines. Rodney Smith is back deep in safety number 1, the junior. And we're underway at the big house. Smith from the 1. Down at the 16-yard line. And let's quickly get Spencer Tillman's takes for Minnesota.
It's going to be simple for Minnesota. They got to put a premium on execution. No drop balls like last week against Iowa. That poor execution really put them behind the chains a lot, and a disadvantage in the time of possession. It hurt them, especially in the fourth quarter. Ultimately, you know what Michigan's going to do. They're going to sit there and come after you time and time again. So Denry Croft has got to be able to deal with that pressure in such a way that he can move the ball down the field.
Fourth start for Croft. Got it going early in the season, then was suspended indefinitely, returned. They were very happy with his performance. A lot of drops in that game with Iowa last week. Minnesota was still in it. Rodney Smith, the lone setback, out of the shotgun, and he keeps it on the read. And Khalid Hudson, number 7, out of that Viper position at linebacker, making the tackle. And listen, Croft is one of these kids, when you look at him, the size is there, 6'5", 205, sophomore from Rockford, Illinois. Sacked a number of times in his first road outing a week ago. But again, he didn't get much help from his receivers.
He didn't get help much from the receivers. And again, the running backs have got to step up. If you got a quarterback that's struggling, the key position that you look for to kind of sad that will be the running back. Somebody's got to step up in a big way tonight.
McCrary is in the backfield right now, number 22. And they go sweep with Rodney Smith on the jet sweep. And he's out to almost the 20-yard line. Hard to get wide on this very fast Michigan defense. David Long, the sophomore from Los Angeles, California, Loyola High School, making the tackle. You'll see the third down story, how good this Michigan defense is at getting off the field.
Well, Don Brown is going to make it so tough on you again because of the speed. You saw Hudson again make that play, push to the boundary. He plays, as you said, that Viper position made popular by Jabril Peppers. Again, look for that guy to show up a lot tonight.
Third down and 7. Tyler Johnson is the wide receiver they target most often, number 6, at the top of your screen. They go looking on the slant, and there's Philip Howard. And Howard's got a first down out to the 45, beyond the 45 to the 46. Tyree Kennel, 23, the junior from Huber Heights, Ohio, with the stop.
Josh Metellus is playing in that slot position. He's the one that got beat on the inside. When you talk about turning that into like a skinny post route, nice job of the delivery from Croft. Better job of seating that and pushing it up the field against that soft coverage. Expect the pressure in response to that.
25 yards the pickup. Rodney Smith remains the setback. The tight end, Wozniak, is in a slot left. Now it comes in motion. Smith trying to make a change of direction, but Hudson was right there again to make the tackle, number 7.
He's going to be there frequently, Tim. Again, they give him the latitude in that viper position to move around a little bit. He's kind of like Clowney for you guys that followed on that next level. They give him the latitude, and all those other guys, because they're so active, have to make sure the run fits are taken care of so that the basics of the integrity of the defense is in shape. But believe me, he has free rounds to go wherever he needs to go.
Number 1 defense in third down efficiency. Number 4 overall, Don Brown's D. 2nd and 10.
This is where they've struggled all year long. 2nd and long, 3rd and long.
And we've got, I believe, a timeout taken by Minnesota.
Timeout, Minnesota, their first.
12:26 remaining here in the first quarter. We'll take a breath. You should too. It's going to be a nice long evening here at Michigan Stadium. They haven't played a ranked team yet. They would love for Michigan to continue winning so they could play a ranked team. And be sure to tune in to the Big Ten Championship presented by Discover, December 2nd on Fox.
Love it when your fortunes are tied to a conference foe, boy. It gets really entertaining.
Does it ever. On 2nd down, Croft swings it out to Rodney Smith. Good cutback. Now he heads for the boundary. Lowers the shoulder. They'll rule him out of bounds at the 47-yard line. So a gain of 8.
Like what Minnesota's doing right now, trying to take advantage of the speed of Don Brown's stop unit to work against him. That's one of the ways you do it. Getting the ball out on the perimeter to your running backs on a little swing pass. Nice job.
Minnesota 40 of 112 this season on third down. That's 36%. Don Brown's defense holds its opponents to 22% efficiency. Something's got to give here. Wozniak is the tight end split to the left. And he looked for him. The ball is tipped into the air by Maurice Hurst Jr. Mo is a load. This young man is 2nd in tackles for losses, and his big mitts got up there that time.
He's only 6'2", but he's about 208 pounds, and he's got a long wing span. You can watch him, number 73 right here. Watch him get that hand up. You talk about affecting the quarterback. If you can't get a big enough push, you can always get that mid up in the air and cause some damage and deflect that pass. Tremendous job.
Ryan Santoso will punt it away. Donovan Peoples-Jones is back deep in safety. Peoples-Jones with a fair catch, called for and taken at the 17-yard line. So the Wolverines come out after the 25-yard boot. And let's get Tillman's takes on the Wolverines offensively.
Timmy, this is an old musician's phrase, staying in the pocket. Has to do more with rhythm. Has nothing to do with the quarterback as much as it does the overall situation for this offense. Young receivers, young running backs. Stay within the system. Everything will eventually come its way. But Minnesota will have an opportunity to find some weak spots, some pressure points. You got to find them probably up front along that offensive line. That's been a work in process. So again, some opportunity for the Gophers. In the meantime, Michigan has got to stay on staff.
How does the freshman handle being a starter for the very first time? Both teams' first possession from their after a 47-yard opportunity. And there's this out pattern. It's taken in by Peoples-Jones, and the wide receiver gets it out for 8 yards. It'll be 2nd down and 2.
Yende, that far corner on that side, is going to have to get a little bit more snug coverage out there. Better than that.
Well, both teams beginning their drives from their 17-yard line. We'll see if, in fact, Michigan can get something accomplished on this very first drive. Young man that went 10 of 14 for 124, protected the ball, no interceptions, and was not sacked in the game. And this building shook in a manner that it simply hadn't all season long when he came onto the field last week. Higdon. That's 47 yards. Jonathan Celestine finally made the tackle. He ran around and through people.
He really did. That was number 74, Big Ben Bredson, who he's running behind. They gave him a tremendous job of nice sealing that corner. You can see the vision is outstanding there. More importantly, he finished it out just like a Michigan man. That ball seated in the proper hand, and just lay your head back, big fella, go get the yards. And he does. That's nice running.
First down from the 28-yard line of Minnesota. Chris Evans comes in for Higdon. Bootleg action, looking for the tight end, and dumps it underneath to yet another tight end. That's Sean McCune, 84. He wanted to get the ball to Zach Gentry, 83, who was further downfield. He was well covered.
McCune had 3 catches for 31 yards against Rutgers. And again, that was a game where they matched up extremely well. But any Jim Harbaugh coach team has had outstanding tight end play. Look for them to continue to work to their tight end tonight.
They've got more tight ends than most teams have defensive backs. Evans remains in the backfield on 2nd and 6, and he'll take it off the left side inside the 20 to the 19. He'll be about a yard away from a first down. Jonathan Celestine, the senior from Jonesboro, Georgia, making the tackle. Double-digit tackle games, including a career-high 15 against Maryland, a game that you and I had earlier this year.
You'll see Celestine back there along with Thomas Barber, number 41. Leads his team in tackles last week against Iowa at 12 of them, 1 for a loss and 1 quarterback hurry.
Will Hill is coming to the game, and it is Hill that gets the carry. Had a touchdown run last week. You see him keeping it alive. He'll line up as an H-back or fullback. He may be shy of the first down. Oh, I think he got a good right foot mark, and he's got the first down. By a smidge, by the nose of the football.
This is Michigan football at its finest right here. This is what Jim Harbaugh wants to do. Control the line of scrimmage, play power football downhill. And again, it doesn't matter. It's about us beating your guys up front. To get a foot, get a yard, push them, do whatever you need to. Just move the chains.
Kugler, Bredesen, Ruiz, who's in the game for Onwenu, who's out with an injury.
Nice ISO.
And here goes again. Pushed back at the 15-yard line by Celestine. We'll call his name quite a bit tonight.
Celestine does a nice job of filling that hole, but again, he fills it, but the counter step, and the ball is going to come back here, but watch Celestine fill this spot significantly. Got his head squat. The low man tends to win in those situations. He even got down on his knees, playing the leverage games in the hole against this stout running team of Michigan.
Ball at the 16-yard line with Karan Higdon, the lone setback. See how tight they are with that double tight end look. Bootleg action again. Peters launches it. He's got it. Down to the 1. It's Eddie McDoon. The sophomore from Winter Garden, Florida. They're going to say a marker is down. We'll have to check it out.
They'll sort this out, but it was excellent execution. Allende, the field corner.
Ineligible receiver downfield. Offense, number 76. 5-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
That's Jawan Bushell Beatty, who, number 76, the senior from New Jersey, held that block a little too long, and further downfield that negates a 13-yard gain. The ball would have been at the 2-yard line. Keep an eye on 76, the right tackle.
You can see him here down, and when he gets that little slam box, he's got to hold his water just a little bit. He gets a little bit too far downfield, Tim, and that's the big difference. Nice job by the young quarterback, Brandon Peters, though, waiting for that zone to open up and get that ball in there for a completion, all for naught.
Had no effect on the play.
Nope.
None whatsoever. 2nd and 12. Rollout action. They'll come back the other way. Safety valve to the tight end. It's McCune. It's touchdown.
I think it was 3 plays ago we talked about the use of the tight end. Look for them. The action is going to flow this way, and then they'll come back eventually this direction here. It's all about getting these guys to flow and then sell it. That flow, create the linebacker flow, and then you got an off guard and a tackle out there, the convoy. All you need to do is get behind it and hit your head on the goalpost. Outstanding execution, better finish.
Quinn Nordine with the extra point. Sort of squibbed that one through. Wasn't artistic, but it was effective. Sounds like McCune, spells like McKeon. All things together, it's his first touchdown catch of the year. Brandon Peters is loving it, and so is Coach Jim.
Steve Smith Sr., you ready to be a vendor? This job ain't easy. Those fans there.
In finding McCune.
Jim certainly built quite a reputation for developing quarterbacks, and he says it's going to take about 1.5 to 2 years to fully get him ready, and he's brought him along quite nicely, I think, at the right pace to have success.
Now, that was Michigan's 6th touchdown pass of the season, so there haven't been many of them. State had 3, Peters 2, and now the first for Peters after O'Korn had a couple himself. So Rodney Smith decides to allow for the touchback, and it's 1st and 10 coming up now for Minnesota. The Golden Gophers had their chances a week ago. They got some good field position on one quick slant pattern. Spencer, it's not as if they've got a lot of guys that you have to respect to go deep on you, but what can they do to keep their defense off the field?
Well, I think they're kind of doing it right now. It's been a hallmark of PJ Fleck's team. Play clean, no mistakes, no penalties, and that way they mitigate the opportunity to get blown out. They'll play you tough, as they did with Iowa last week, who had a fantastic performance today in their upset win.
Well, how about Ferentz' son, the offensive coordinator? I don't think anybody saw that particular number coming up from the Hawkeyes. Over the middle again, he finds Howard. Philip Howard, the go-to guy, at least early for Demery Croft, 16 yards of first down, out to the 41.
Noah Furbush was the linebacker who dropped back in coverage. You can see him. He'll drop back here, and that pass got right underneath him. You can see he's got nosy, poor eye discipline. He's got to drop back in that deep third. You got the Viper coming down the field. That's a great opportunity for the receiver and the quarterback to be on the same page. That was a huge play for Minnesota.
Second reception for Howard for 41 yards here in the early going. Croft keeping that one ahead to the 43-yard line, or Rodney Smith, I beg your pardon, taking it ahead to the 43-yard line. Croft, by the way, is going to turn to Rodney Smith a lot tonight. He's going to get a lot of carries because it appears they're going to be without Shannon Brooks a good bit of this night.
They're going to need all hands on deck, and that play, once again, to put a book in, and it was so important because now they can put Michigan in those one conflict situations where Don can always pin his ear back and come to blitz. He's got to respect the ability to pass.
2nd down and 8. Rodney Smith now out of the Wildcat, and he keeps it ahead to the 45-yard line. So Croft, as you see, goes off the position, and they sneak in Smith to run Wildcat, and he gets it to the 45. That's what he did a week ago, and they needed all those yards to stay within reach of Iowa. Look back on it now, given the way the Hawkeyes buried the Buckeyes, that was a pretty good performance for Minnesota.
Very solid performance. If they can get 80, 90, 100 yards on the ground, they can make this a very compelling and interesting game because they, too, can eat up time on the clock like Michigan can if they move the chains.
McCrary is back in, the senior. Junior college transfer, number 22. Stays in for protection. Croft. Nice footwork. Flushed. He can run it. He's got good feet, and he's got a first down and takes the dive at the 47-yard line of Michigan.
Well, the footwork was excellent. The protection was even better. It was what he does inside the box. The protection is going to be great, but just watch his little shiver move inside. Once he feels the pressure from the outside, he steps up in the pocket, doesn't get too far outside on the wings, understands that the straightest distance to a point, and PJ says approval on that one, is the straight line. He did a fantastic job of navigating that space in between the tackles.
By the way, thumbs up with PJ is elite, just so you know. It's how's your day going, PJ? It's elite.
It's elite, yeah. He's one of the great motivators of our game, man. He's a...
I love the guy. And by the way, he is who he is. No ifs, ands, or buts. Timeout taken by Minnesota. They're second here in the first half.
Minnesota, they're second.
5:09 remaining in the opening quarter here at the Big House. Culminating what has been a wild and wacky day and evening in the Big Ten.
I love this guy's attitude, man. He understands that courage is not the absence of fear, it's the acknowledgement of it, the willingness to move ahead anyway. He's great to listen to.
Acknowledging Jim Tressel will not make him any friends here at Michigan. Rodney Smith again out of the Wildcat. That move is made just a little bit prior to the snap, a wrinkle we did not see in the Maryland game, where just seconds before the snap, he moves into the cat and Croft goes into a slot. We got a flag down.
Defense, number 9. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Mike McCray, team captain on defense. senior out of Ohio, is the guilty party there. They're already quick enough. They don't need to get any extra advantage, that defensive front. You know, the amazing thing about them too, Spencer, is they're not terribly deep. These guys play a lot of snaps, but because they're so good on third down, not as many as a lot of other teams.
Yeah, Don has created a great environment where he actually almost shames them in coming out of the game.
Rodney Smith again goes into the Wildcat. They're going to stay with this a bit, trying to drive home a point with the Wildcat maneuver. Nothing doing this time. Stopped at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, number 3, Rashawn Gary, that defensive end, is out there. He is a beast. He's the anchor for that front. And then, of course, we've already talked about Hurst and company. And you look at these plays for the last 4 weeks, what they've done with opponents, how limited the yards have come by. It has been tough because of them. And then, of course, with Rutgers, 47 yards there.
Well, 47 plays yeah, means that you get off the field pretty quick. And you're allowed to play a lot longer as a frontline player. McCrary again in the backfield. And it's Philip Howard on the sweep. And he's got a first down to the 30.
You notice the yards have come on misdirection plays or when they come across the formation. Again, it's a nice job of coming across the formation back. That motion allows them to get a numbers advantage on that half of the field. You can see they're trying to catch up. The numbers are just far enough away, and the motion is what allows that to happen. It's kind of a derivative of the old speed sweeps that we've seen popularized with Gus Malzahn, those cats at Auburn, but they're using it to their advantage despite not having elite athletes.
After a gain of 12, it's first down. Scrimmaging at the 30 of Michigan with Rodney Smith in the backfield. And again, nothing doing as they continue to try to get something done against that interior. Khalid Hudson, the first to make contact, but he had plenty of help with those guys in the helmet.
I got to believe if it's 2 more years down the road, or maybe even next year, they take a shot against that formation with the free down on first down with single coverage to the outside. We know that Don is tough, but again, when he chooses to play man coverage across the board, there will be some opportunities to be made from the receiver point on the edges.
McCrary back in the game, number 22 is the setback. Lindgren also in at tight end. Flush from the pocket again, Demery Croft, he's got open spaces, and another first down inside the 20 at the 17. Tyree Kennel knocked him out of bounds.
Well, you're talking about, again, on 3 plays of the last 5, we've seen the protection in place. But I want you to watch the release of this quarterback once he feels this pressure. He's not trying to get outside. He's understanding color flashes to his left. He escapes to the right, away from the numbers. This kid is savvy. I'm telling you, he's got a little something about him. He's not always looking to run it. He's running and being forced to run it, and he's taking advantages of the numbers.
8 plays, 58 yards this current drive. 3 carries for 19 for Croft. Here's McCrary in the backfield now, 22. Nice. He'll take the quick pitch to the field side, and there he goes. Burrows down near the 10-yard line. A healthy gain. Brandon Watson, number 28, made the stop.
And that's a huge win, Tim. If you can get 5 yards on a first down after a big play, you come here, then bounce that ball back outside. It's just a tremendous job of zone read inside with the fake, but it's the option off of it. Just a couple of steps to allow you to get up the field and get positive yards. Nice play design. Again, the bulk of Minnesota's yards are coming on play action type of way or those types of motions.
He got 7 yards, so it's 2nd and 3. Tyler Johnson, number 6, down at the bottom of your screen. He's yet to catch a pass. And they go again, same play, other side. Rodney Smith in for the touchdown. Boy, they pounded it inside. They went Wildcat, and then they softened them to go to the edge.
Watch Winovich. He's out there in kind of like a wide 9 technique. You see he gets nosy, and that gets outflanked on the edge. And again, this is the 3rd time they've done it on this series. Who would have thought they would have the speed to get to the edge against this ball-hawking, speed-induced defense of Michigan?
Carpenter for the extra point. How about that for a lengthy drive and an answer?
Nice.
Golden Gophers with Demery Croft at the helm. And the Wildcat used, plus the option to the field side. Roll that boat, says PJ. A 75. To make note of that is Santoso gets ready to kick it away.
The takeaway for me is they just drove 75 yards on a team that's ranked in the top 10 of the 8 of the 9 major statistical categories on defense.
Here comes the freshman, Embry Thomas, the Motor City youngster. Always a threat with that great speed of his. Gets it out to the 23-yard line. Let's get a quick game break in Los Angeles from Greg Wolf.
Tim, thanks. We go to Tuscaloosa, undefeated Alabama, #1 in the polls all season long, but debuted at #2 in the college football playoff rankings. Here's Bo Scarborough, 9-yard touchdown. Alabama 6 straight wins in this series against LSU. They lead it 14-0 second quarter. Tim, Spencer, back to you.
I guess the reaction to being #2 playing a role for Nick Saban's club in the early going against the Bayou Bengals, a ranked team, by the way. That is a resume for Alabama with so many blowouts that it warranted them being #2 behind Georgia, who did win earlier today against South Carolina. Karan Higdon dots the I behind quarterback Brandon Peters. Quick 3-step drop, and he lets it go towards the sidelines to Donovan Peoples-Jones, and they'll rule it incomplete at the 42-yard line.
That's what you see when you've got a young quarterback and young receivers on that deep out cut. That's a NFL-type throw. I mean, it's across the field 3/4 of the way, and Peoples-Jones has got to be able to make that play because he had soft coverage out there in the corner. Just a nice, simple out cut. Got to complete that.
We have not had time to mention it, but the best time for a young quarterback to play the position is against a depleted secondary, and Minnesota is that. They've got a lot of injuries. It's a mash unit that P.J. Flex got back there. Could be playing 2 true freshmen before the night is over. Higdon, Karan Higdon, pick him up, put him down, touchdown, Michigan.
Stacking them together, 18 carries, 158 yards, a couple of TDs last week. Again, you can see this is just a little ISO play, man. Look at the formation up front. It's just a 4-down look. He comes back on the old like counter trey, but it's blocked like power, and he just puts it in second gear. Immediately gets past that second level. Nobody's going to catch him. Boy, he's on fire. Look at the vision in the eyes, and he sits that ball properly. He's looking at that monitor up front, though.
A kick no good by Nordine, and that is a rarity. So efficient through the course of this season. But the best all-around back, according to Jim Harbaugh, has been Karan Higdon. And that young man did a remarkable job. His career 77 yards. His previous was 59.
Well, the thing about the blocking, when you see this guy do what he does, man, it's just you're going to get help from the outside. McEwen at that tight end position does his job. The inside interior line obviously does their job up front. Kugler and company. Cole on the outside, that left tackle. All of them do a fantastic job of clearing the path for him. And, boy, he just hit that one. That's outstanding Michigan-style football there.
That's the longest play from scrimmage for the Wolverines this season. He's really picked it up these last few games. Just as Minnesota had come back with an impressive drive, they give up a huge play, and that's something honestly that Minnesota's been very good at, keeping guys in front of them, not allowing the big play. That one was just that for Michigan. Rodney Smith is back deep, awaiting the kick from Foe. Short kick, he'll take it on the run at the 10. Tripped up and down at the 25-yard line. Next Saturday on Fox, a huge Big Ten showdown. And now Ohio State will be smarting a bit. J.T. Barrett and the Buckeyes take on Michigan State, who've got to be soaring after what they did today to Penn State. They'll meet in the horseshoe of the banks of the Olentangy. Coverage begins at 11 Eastern on Fox and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. College football on Fox. Every game is everything.
If you'll echo the sentiments of last week, the college football world is flat, man. And every week there's going to be a surprise.
I don't think we're that far away from a 2-loss conference champion getting into the Final Four. I really believe that. Maybe not this year, but very soon. Kobe McCrary in the backfield as Croft is flushed again, decides to tuck it and run. It's been one of their more effective plays tonight. He gets it beyond the 30 to the 31, so a gain of 6.
I think the thing that's impressive about Croft, again, we've talked about his footwork, but his instinctiveness as Fleck looks on to release away from the pressure. That was what they call a starboard charge. Everybody's moving to the right along that defensive front, and he moves away from that pressure almost instinctively. That's not a design call. That's just a player doing what comes natural.
There you see the line on Croft. He has not found Tyler Johnson yet. He's the most targeted receiver, and by a long shot. 31 receptions. No other Minnesota receivers in double digits. Number 6 hasn't touched it yet. McCrary is in the backfield. And we've got a marker down. Looked like we had the Wildcat situation too with McCrary in the Wildcat.
64. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
And that's Connor Olson that's guilty, the redshirt freshman from Monticello, Minnesota, that's guilty. And we'll back him up.
And that movement was a reaction to this Viper position. Hudson here with the safety coming down behind him. That was a nice adjustment. I'd like to see them get that play off to see what they had in mind.
Coming to the end of the quarter with the Wolverines leading by 6. Look at old PJ Fleck sprint to the other side.
His boys.
Little Charlie hustle action. But the Wolverines off that 77-yard jaunt have a 6-point lead.
Come on, coach.
I don't think he knew we had the timer on him, but I would suggest to you that PJ would win most of those 40 times among his peers.
He'd win the long ones too, because he's a marathoner and the guy's got speed.
He does. As we open play in the second quarter, Tim Brando along with Spencer Tillman and Holly Saunders. Second down and 9. Dimry Croft off a marvelous drive, but it's McCrary again out of the Wildcat, and it's Khalid Hudson, number 7, meeting him head on. Let's get more on PJ, and I think those cruel shoes Holly knows about.
Yeah, Tim, footing might be a problem for some tonight, but not for PJ Fleck, because we just saw him sprinting down the sidelines. He has some pretty cool kicks every week designed with a theme for each game, and this week they're the signature maroon and gold, but with the added feature on the back, with the years that Minnesota has won the Little Brown Jug ending in 2014. Added motivation, Tim.
Yeah, that's what it's about. It's not just slogans, it's themes. I love that term, Holly, and Spencer will speak to that in a moment about what the jug means to the millennial cohort. Smith in the backfield, and once again Croft, when he ad-libs, he's really good, but he's ushered out of bounds this time, well short of the first down by Mo Hurst. What speed number 73 has.
He's athletic, and again, he showed some of that athleticism on that last play. And to top off the point that Holly was making, you know, PJ is always motivating his guys to go to that next level, and he does it not with just slogans, but it's really substance. I asked him how many of your guys knew exactly what the Little Brown Jug was about. He said about 20%.
Could have been. Almost. I don't know how he missed it. Khalid Hudson almost. In fact, I think he overran the punter. I mean, he literally overran the block. Wow. Santoso got it away. Watch how he overruns him. Got there too soon. 40-yard boot. All is well still in Minnesota. Oh, man.
For adults with advantage.
The holiday sales event. Offer in soon.
Khalid Hudson, you got a nice angle, brother. Come across that foot. Don't do the Batman and put those hands up in the air. Take it off the foot. Keep those hands extended and put it on the edge of the foot instead of putting them up in the air. That's why that ball went right between the wicket. Oh, my goodness.
Spoken by a man who stayed in the NFL an additional 2 or 3 years for blocking field goals and punts. My friend Spencer Tillman. Deron Higdon in the backfield, who had that big jaunt a moment ago. Look at him go. Yards after contact. Another first down. He gets 11. His 77-yard jaunt, Michigan's longest run in 5 years. Duke McGee, the tackle.
All about effort. You know, the ISO play that counters downhill. Watch the yards after the contact. 1, 2, 3. There's 5, 7 additional yards after the initial contact. The eyes, he does a nice job of finding the vision where that void is. Boy, this kid here is really talented. Not only does he have the ability to run away from you, he's tough between the tackles.
He remains in the backfield, out of the I formation. Play fake. Off the edge, pressure, and it's Antonio Chenault. And this is a kid playing hurt. Young man from Roselle, Illinois. He has been elite. says his coach. That's a 9-yard loss.
Well, you see Antonio coming off that edge. He's had a hamstring, and he's been dealing with that for a while, but no signs of it on that play. He comes unblocked off the edge, does a nice job of bringing down the quarterback and making a significant play that's going to inspire this defense.
Higdon and Gentry checked out. And offensively, Donovan Peoples-Jones has come back in along with Chris Evans. There's that big offensive line.
Huge.
They're young, though. Very young. Anchored by the veteran Kugler, 57 at center. Here's Chris Evans. Up ahead to the 42-yard line. A quick game break now in Los Angeles. Greg Wolf.
Tim, thanks. Number 10, Miami undefeated, but 6 teams with 1 loss ahead of them in the college football playoff rankings. Here's Travis Homer. He came into the season with more tackles than carries. He has shined since moving into the starting role. 64-yard touchdown. Canes lead number 13, Vatek, 14-0 second quarter. Tim, Spencer, back to you.
Mark Richt's team trying to make a statement. A lot of people have been throwing dirt on the Canes, and that vaunted Virginia Tech defense was supposed to be at an advantage tonight. Right now, Miami looking good and will move up exponentially after what happened earlier today. That pass intended for McDoom, incomplete. That, of course, would be if the score holds up for Miami in that battle in the ACC.
Mark Richt, it's amazing that they kind of ran him out of there at Georgia. He was averaging 9, 8, 10 wins a season, but it wasn't enough. But everywhere he goes.
Aaron Murray was 1 play away from a national championship opportunity in 2012. Quinn Nordine and Brad Robbins both wear the number 3. We have, of course, dueling numbers in college football. Robbins is the punter. Nordine is the field goal kicker. That's the first time Minnesota is able to get the job done with their defense and get off the field. And that's a high spiraling punt going to Hamileski. And Hamileski sees it bound out of play inside the 10. A 49-yard boot for Robbins from Westerville, Ohio. Hence the reason why we showed you that location. That's what Minnesota's lost. A lot of little brown jug opportunities through the years. Toby McCrary in the backfield, the lone setback behind Croft. And it's Rodney Smith. He has been very effective when they've gone to the edge. That's Josh Metellus, number 14, sophomore from Pembroke Pines, Florida, with the tackle.
They're just doing a better job of outflanking them on the speed. These little speed, sweep, motion actions has done a fantastic job of getting the very aggressive defensive front of Michigan to flow opposite the direction of where they're scheming against them. And P.J. Fleck's offense has been flexing its muscle in this second quarter. Offensive coordinator Kirk Soraka is calling a pretty good game, isn't he? Out to the 30-yard line goes McCrary. I mean, Kittle makes the tackle there, but he's trusting the eyes of his back, and Soraka has given it to him. Kirk is just brilliant, and what he's doing is when he comes back this way, he's able to use the speed sweep against you, the same motion. These guys are committing to the outside, which softens up the middle of the field. Now he's got Michigan running, connecting, and then he's got a back that's strong enough to drag him along and pay. See the time of possession. Minnesota wants to hold on to it. There goes Howard again looking to get to the edge. And it's Kennel again making the stop. That young man stayed home to make the stop. Tyree made a fantastic in-space stop right there. That was outstanding. That's textbook. You can see him square up. Again, look at him. His shoulders are square, feet parallel to his target, and he's happy about it. Yes, sir, if you will. Loss of 2, so second down and 12 coming up. See the number of tackles for loss, where they rank defensively so fast. Other than the Penn State game, this defense has been almost as good as last year's, and that's saying a lot. All 11 of the Michigan defense were all Big Ten of some form, and 9 of them were either signed as free agents or drafted by the NFL. And finally, Tyler Johnson targeted for a pass. Metellus was with him. That route got cut off. Johnson with 7 touchdown receptions, the rest of the team with just 2. And as I mentioned, he by a long shot is the guy most often targeted. Metellus just had tremendous defense on that last play. Just fantastic coverage skills to deny the opportunity on the man coverage. Well, you see the number that were taken by the NFL, most among any school in the FBS. 3rd and 12. blitz action here at the corner.
Smith, really tough to pop it when you've got a Devin Bush sitting right there, huh?
Well, he's
the middle linebacker
yeah.
is a freak of nature, this kid. 5'11", 222, and really lightning quick.
A little bit undersized, but for the middle, but you can watch how he flows to the ball and sticks his nose in there. Number 10 is only about 6'2", but he's an outstanding range guy. And he's got the speed to fill those gaps, much like a lineman does.
Santoso to boot it away, and Donovan Peoples-Jones is back deep. Beautiful punt again, and Peoples-Jones at his 18. A lot of room, though, to the field side. A lot of room there. Quality return, and he spun out of bounds at the 40. I think they may have gotten a face mask there up at the 40. So it's 51 yards on the boot, a 21-yard return, and Blake Cashman, who ran him out of bounds, I believe got him by the face mask, so we'll tack on 15 more. Daniel Capron is our referee.
During the kick, holding. Receiving team number 25.
Wow.
The 10-yard penalty is enforced from the end of the kick. First down, Michigan.
Now that is a big break for Minnesota, and apparently no face mask on the other side. That's a big break because field position really swings on that call. And that will back Michigan up from the spot of the foul. Spencer, think about it. This is like a 35-yard, almost 40-yard penalty. It happens right in the middle. Number 25, the guilty party.
Well, you can see, it's kind of tough to see it from this angle, but back here is where he's maybe hits him in the back, just outside of the frame of the picture. And the back judge caught it, saw it, called it, and Jim's not happy about it. He's still contesting it away from the ball, and you wonder if it has any impact, but that's a player safety issue there.
Yeah, that turns out to be a 32-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Ron Higdon is the lone setback. Khalid Hill, number 80, the H-back. He's over into a slot and will block for Higdon. He gets it out to the 10. Gain of 1, 2nd and 9 coming up.
I like the idea of being a little bit more aggressive when you got them backed up down here on defense. And again, I think Minnesota's in a great opportunity now after the penalty to back them up, be more aggressive, particularly on those early downs.
It was enforced at the end of the kick. Therefore, the penalty bringing them all the way back inside their 10-yard line.
This is where you challenge a Gary Moore, 19, that nose tackle. Stephen Richardson, a defensive tackle, 96. Those guys have got to play on the other side of the ball.
Higdon. Boy, that quick pop has been there tonight, hasn't it? All the way out to the 22. He hits that line with authority.
And I just mentioned Richardson, and that was the gap that they just came to. He's the defensive tackle, number 96, and they just ran straight up there. I mean, you look at the numbers, man, and him and the rest of the team, 154, everybody else 36. He's more than carried his share.
Kunle Ayinde, number 4, made that tackle. Here's an interesting formation.
How about this?
Tom Harmon out there somewhere.
Yeah. That's window dressing. You saw it last year, but again, it's just a little window dressing.
Yeah, and it leads to a penalty flag or timeout. I beg your pardon.
Prior to the snap, timeout, Minnesota. Their third and final timeout of the half.
At the very least, they got Minnesota to use their third and final timeout. None left.
Hey, man. Oh, nice man cave.
Take a listen to this.
Probably there's one thing that's easy to do as a quarterback. Just take charge. Be loud. It's really easy. Ah! Be loud. Yeah. Blue 80! Blue 80! That's the easiest thing about being a quarterback to me. So yeah, just be louder, Brandon, please.
He's a humble kid, and he just said, I want you to be a little bit more assertive verbally, Spencer.
Well, he was serious about it.
Yes,
Jim
he was.
brought in a diaphragm coach to work with him on his pronunciation. He was serious, man.
Yeah, I still think in a lot of ways Jim is quarterbacking the game himself through who he has out there. There's Chris Evans. He gets to the edge on the stretch and is going to be shoved out by Ayinde again. Kunle very busy out there, number 4.
Evans, another one of those backs by committee among that group, along with Higdon. did a nice job of drawing in the defense and then bouncing it to the outside. A little bit of a change-up pitch there, if you will. This offense has been predicated on power and downhill and inside game early.
Pretty effective what they're able to get done on the ground against the Minnesota defense that usually does a much better job against it. Evans was the starter at the beginning of the season, 18 yards there. Gets it again. Bouncing off. Tackler after tackler. Look out. Evans all the way. 60 yards, touchdown.
Should look at the initial contact in the hole before he eventually gets out of this mess. Again, the isolation play coming. Nice job of fitting him up against the games in the deal. Celestine and those guys in the middle get a nice hat on him. But he bounces it to the outside, and Evans shows you, hey, not only can I get to the edge, I'm a power runner, and I can convert quickly to speed and outrun everybody.
No problem for Nordine this time. That was Michigan's second longest play this season. Just behind Higdon's 77. So earlier, they've already given up 234 tonight.
Yeah, but
and we're not even to the break, Spencer. They're just running downhill.
Chris Evans and Higdon really earned it. I mean, they showed you not only could they run with power, but they ran with speed. And then Kugler up front and center opened the hole for him. The left guard and the center combined did a tremendous job. I mean, up front, the execution is just outstanding.
All that's going to do is open it up for the play action pass a little later on. And it's McCrary with the return, shy of the 20 at the 18. So what's coming up at halftime on the State Farm Halftime Show? Here's Rob Stone.
Coming up on the State Farm Halftime, Michigan fans, you're going to love the sights from Iowa's demolition of the Buckeyes. Not sure, though, how you're going to feel watching Sparty take care of number 7 Penn State. And Bedlam was pure Bedlam. Tim Spencer, see you at the half.
Boy, was it ever, no doubt about it. And Spence, you played in Bedlam. Last year we got to call that game, which became a de facto championship. An elimination game of sorts this year. Can't wait for the halftime show. A lot of shaking going on with the College Football Playoff Committee after the activities today. Rodney Smith is in the backfield with Demery Croft. Minnesota needs to make something happen here as their defense has been gouged. And Smith is stopped by Khalid Hudson again. That young man has been everywhere for Michigan.
Well, he's in that Viper position for that exact reason. And you can see again the way he plays that position allows him to be outside of it with no real responsibility, not even contained, because you got a corner that's coming on the backside. So he's free of any obligation whatsoever. He has a nose for the football, and he's got to find it. Doing a tremendous impersonation of Jabril Peppers in that Viper role.
Boy, does that bring back a lot of memories. Every generation of football, Michigan historically has played such a strong role in this great game. Croft in trouble and down. Inside the 10, and it's Big Mo, who plays with Mo. Hurst, number 73.
Boy, that's a thankless position, that nose tackle, because you're responsible more oftentimes for two gaps, but you can see number 73, he can work this way or this way. He decides to do the arm up and just a straight power move and playing in your backfield and in your lap. Boy, this guy's a playmaker. Feed me, baby, feed me.
Yeah, you get behind the chains against these guys. Hard for Minnesota to play from behind, and they are well behind and now behind the chains as well. 3rd and 18. Howard in motion. He has 2 catches tonight. He'll get it on the jet sweep. And down at the 12. We got a marker down. Devin Bush made the tackle, number 10. Daniel Capron is our referee.
Illegal shift. 2 men on the offense moving at the same time. That penalty is declined. It brings up 4th down.
See, this is a tough situation here for Minnesota, where you start looking for them breaking down. Now Michigan has put together a couple of back-to-back scoring options. They've not been able to answer to it. Now uncharacteristic mistakes before they even ball a snap with part of Minnesota.
Yeah, they've had great returns too. One was negated a few moments ago by a block in the back, but Donovan Peoples-Jones has got to be salivating at the opportunity here as Santoso will punt it away from his end zone. Another nice beautiful punt. Boot. Yeah, he's got him backtracking all the way to his 32.
Great coverage, too.
Pretty good cutback, but he lost his footing. 56-yard boot, a 6-yard return. But this is the story, Spencer, of this game.
Well, it's about the eyes and the vision of Higdon, number 22, the power, the consistency. The isolation play was them for him all day, all night. They stretched you eventually on the perimeters as well. The isolation and the bounce to the outside. Evans showed you he can do a great impersonation of his battery mate with vision, low pad level, working through their arm tackle. You better forget about it. Better bring everything you have if you're going to stop me. He got a little wary on the back end of that one, but he had enough to finish him. This running game, this tandem right here is pretty tough.
Look at that. Most in the half against an opponent in the Big Ten in the last 10 years. Higdon. Nothing doing. You know, Tim Drebno, longtime assistant and offensive coordinator, has got to be really pleased. He, along with the quarterbacks, Coach Pep Hamilton, who knows that this is a young quarterback with receivers that have had a difficult time. There's big Tim, who's running this offense. And what they've done on the ground is exactly what Jim Harbaugh felt they needed to do after the spanking they took in Happy Valley. They got back to basics, and they're playing Michigan football right now.
Well, both these guys have had previous stints with Jim, and they're very familiar with what he does and wants. So that familiarity brings a comfort level.
It's McCune again. Had that touchdown earlier. 20-yard aerial. One of the few that they've needed to throw in this game. He's ahead for 6. Coming into the game, he had 21 catches for 223, and with Grant Perry nicked up, the team leader in catches at wide receiver number 88, he figured to get the ball a bit more tonight, and he has.
You mentioned Pep Hamilton, too, who tutors the quarterbacks. With this nice, solid running game established, I would imagine he'd start working on this young quarterback with some of those tight ends play action.
Pep is upstairs. He was with the Cleveland Browns a year ago, and he and Drebno,
Michigan, their first time out of the half.
Two of the highest paid
timeout.
Assistant coaches in the game. They've got 3 of them banking over 7 figures on this staff for Jim Harbaugh. Guys that he's had before that have returned to him and have great confidence in the way he goes about getting the job done long term. I think there's a great global view of college football here at Michigan, understanding where they are. And look at that, among the Power 5 under 40 club. You see Cliff Kingsbury had a rough go today, as did Matt Campbell. PJ Fleck, a very young man, as is Lincoln Riley, who got that big win in Bedlam. And DJ Durkin is trying to get his Maryland team bowl eligible with a third opportunity at quarterback for his third string quarterback.
Well, there's definitely a youth movement going on, always has been, about the game, but and it's getting to the point where it's like the NFL. They tolerate the 50-something crowd and they celebrate youth. It's definitely a youth movement. Oh, student body.
Yeah, big time. Higdon with a convoy. A great defensive play by Thomas Barber, 41, out of the middle linebacker position. 6'1", 233 sophomore from Plymouth, Minnesota. That's a saving tackle after a 7-yard gain.
We had 12 tackles, 6 for a solo, and 1 loss and 1 quarterback hurry last week. Boy, the way he was able to isolate and then identify where he wants to hit him on the pad level down low, it's a good job.
Again, out of the eye, it's Higdon. He gets it to the 45-yard line. Barber is a legacy at Minnesota, Robbinsdale Armstrong High School, a family full of Gophers. You see that a lot in the Big Ten. His brother played safety from 04 to 07. Yep. Everybody remembers Marion Barber III.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, oh, boy.
The thing I like about him is he's so consistent. Double-digit tackles in the big games, Tim. Every Big Ten game this season, including 16 against Michigan State, this guy has been the epitome of what it means to be consistent.
Evans, after getting a little rest from the 60-yard jump, takes off again. Wow. I mean, they are just absolutely carving apart Minnesota's left side. Gary Moore made the tackle, but Bredesen, Madison, Mason Cole, Kugler, All those guys just burying the opposition here.
Well, you know, Tim, when the ball comes across that formation and you got 3 big old heavy guys out in front of you, it's hard not to get some positive yards. But again, a lot of these extra yards are coming after contact, not so much on that particular play. But Jackson and company in middle are heavy loads, but this Michigan front is able to move and create with these big linemen in space the kind of openness needed to get those big plays.
They're playing a freshman, Cesar Ruiz, youngster out of New Jersey at right guard. He's holding up nicely as Evans takes it ahead for another 2 yards.
Yeah, Ruiz, number 51. He's a young cat, but he's got that kind of passion and sense of purpose when he plays the game, and they're relying on him.
Look at that, 111 yards. That's 18.5 per tote for Chris Evans. Big plays will do that to your box score at the end of the night. Higdon with 9 carries, 163, and he's back in the game. On 2nd and 8. Markers down as Higdon goes down at the 20-yard line. Blake Cashman, number 36, making the stop. Listen, this is a very big sequence for Minnesota's defense. Rob Smith, their defensive coordinator's got to be thinking, we got to hold these guys right here.
Personal foul. Illegal block below the waist. Offense. Number 57. 15-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Boy, this is on Kugler, who's a veteran Pennsylvania kid. His dad played professionally, and that's a rarity that you see him make a mistake. He's been a real anchor to this offensive line.
You can see him coming in low down here, Tim, and
he did.
Yep, really tough spot. You got to get up above that waist there.
That is a flag that Minnesota's defense frankly needed. I mean, they are in a very difficult spot here, Spencer, and to maintain contact with their offense, they need to shut Michigan down right here. At the very least, hold them to 3. 2nd and 23. Play action pass, incomplete. Looking for Shanley, 81. First time he's been targeted tonight.
Great push up front, though, man. He took a hit because, again, that front was playing in his wheelhouse. You can see the pressure is going to come from the middle here, and then an inside charge and an inside move that got inside in his face as well. So Peters took a shot. He stood in there.
Youngster from Plymouth, Michigan, Ann Arbor, Gabriel Richard High School. Good target, 6'2", 192. First 3rd down and long in quite a while for Michigan offensively. Over the middle, that's Shanley. And he stopped immediately at the 33. The one thing Minnesota does well is get turnovers. Yeah, they hold them to 4th down here. They're always looking to strip the ball out.
Yeah, they did not so much on that play there, but you're absolutely right as an overarching theme. But they were playing safe with 2 deep safeties, kind of like a shell look, willing to give up the underneath yardage, but just not going to get beat deep.
Now, given the circumstances, they may not be close enough for a field goal try. It looks like they're allowing the clock to wind down to decide which direction they want to go in.
Yeah.
And Jim will determine whether they could give a field goal from this distance or not. Not much of a win factor. It would be a 48-yard try if they attempted it here. They'll take that timeout.
Timeout. Michigan, their 2nd. 30-second timeout.
Wonder if they've got something in their hip pocket that they want to throw it, if they think that maybe they don't want to go in that direction. But Nordine has been money from distance at a 55-yarder earlier. And coming up at halftime on the State Farm halftime report, Robert and Dave Wanstadt will bring you up to speed on what has been a long and affected by Mother Nature Saturday in November. Michigan State with that stunning win, the Bedlam thriller, and boy, it's pretty obvious the Buckeyes emotionally were spent after that comeback against Penn State at the Shoe last week.
Well, consistency is what you're looking for, and again, when that discussion is being made, it's obviously more of a moot point now with those 2 losses there. It's really tough. You've got to be able to acquit yourself well when you're playing these tough conference games, and then particularly off of the great performance you came off the prior week.
Yep. Now you see the numbers on Nordine, 14 of 17, 55-yarder his longest. Did have an extra point missed earlier. From 48. Fading to the right and no good. He needed more of a draw and he got a slice instead. And the score remains 20-7. That is a emotional lift for Minnesota.
It really is. And again, Bryce Popp, who's the defensive line coach, his guys should get an attaboy. Rob Smith, the defensive coordinator, is the guy that's really running the show. But you got to inspire those big heavies up front against this team that has really gassed you all night in their run game.
Nordine knew it. One of those that just didn't quite have enough on it. PJ will take that. Trust me, there's no negativity with that guy. He will not bring up how many rushing yards were gained in that first half. Croft will take a knee, and we will come to the break. Our first visit here to the big house. It's been everything that I thought it would be. Yeah. If history is the currency of our game, then you have to have it as a bucket list. You got to be at Michigan Stadium. It's halftime in Ann Arbor, and let's get to Rob Stone in Los Angeles. It's the State Farm halftime. Yes, and after the first two drives for Minnesota, they were shut down.
Crunk on me, man.
Got to keep on moving, man.
I hear you, man.
One guy that they've not been able to find, Minnesota, they haven't been able to find TJ. Tyler Johnson's only been targeted one time, and they're going to have to do something to find number 6 in the second half.
Well, he's been facing press coverage all night, and that's really been the big challenge again, whether it was David Long, number 22, or whoever they put on him. It didn't really matter. They shut him down. And again, until and unless they can come out of that package and get a running game to force them out of that man coverage, they're going to have problems. But again, remember early in the year, granted it was against lesser competition. He had back-to-back 100-yard receiving contests, 92 yards, I think, last week. So he's the guy that has demonstrated over the course of the season so far that he's capable. But again, step up in competition against the Wolverines.
Here's the kick. Ambry Thomas is back deep, and the freshman from right here is going to take off from his 5. Wow. He's got a little bit of speed, doesn't he? Out to the 32-yard line. And let's go down to Holly Saunders, who has word from both coaches.
Yeah, Tim, I asked Coach Fleck how he plans to eliminate the explosive plays, and he said simple. We need to get in their gaps, stay in their gaps, and shut down the big plays. And as for Coach Harbaugh, he said that they're looking to make the Minnesota offense one-dimensional in the second half, make their quarterback beat them. Tim?
You got it, Holly. Thank you. And all that miss coming down as you look at the running back comparison, Evans and Higdon have just been outstanding. But I will say this, when it comes to preparation for sideline commentary, Holly has it with those lids that she puts on during the mist, huh?
She's absolutely the best.
The magnificent hat she donned. Ron Higdon is in the backfield, and he'll take it ahead for at least 3 before being pushed back by Thomas Barber. Look at that. First time with 2 rushes over 100-plus yards each in back-to-back games since think of that. That's Lytle, I believe, and Gordon Bell.
You're going back
Rob Lytle.
You're the guys that Butch Woolfolk and some of those old guys that played back in the day, man.
Rob was a Michigan man back in the day. Higdon remains in the backfield. There goes Karan beyond the 35 to the 37. Jacob Huff making the stop. We mentioned this beat-up secondary, which is part of the problem once you break contain. These young guys, so many of them playing hurt. We mentioned Antonio Chenault has been bothered by a hamstring. There is no Zoe Creighton. There is no Handy Holly. And they have lost a lot of talent.
Well, it looks like they're doing a pretty good job so far. I know it's only a couple of plays to start this half, but again, it's Higdon and Evans who you got to stop. Both average over 18 yards a carry.
There comes that late blitz. Just a delayed blitz from Blake Cashman, the right side linebacker, and the junior from Eden Prairie, Minnesota, makes the stop. An original walk-on.
Well, they brought him from a position here, and I think he ultimately comes back underneath or inside that tackle. Yes, a nice little game. It's not an ET stunt. If you're a linebacker, it's almost like a linebacker nose stunt. You come all the way from that inside position. Again, it takes cooperation from those big heavies inside to get up the field and not get crushed down in the middle to make that play work.
Games and deals, as you like to say, right? Deals. Drew Himileski is back deep awaiting this punt from Brad Robbins. In the misty rain, he calls for it, stumbles, and does make the fair catch at the 36-yard line after a 34-yard boot. Well, this Michigan defense has been as advertised.
Well, they're stout, Timmy, and part of it is they play with such integrity. You know, Holly was talking about run fits on the side of Minnesota. Well, these guys right here excel in run fits. Everyone reaches one. it's like a glove, a hand in a glove.
Yeah,
Fit those fingers in those open spaces and shut down any opportunity to get plus yardage.
Don Brown spent all those years in his formative stages with Carm Koza at Yale. Came over from Boston College where he had an elite defense there, coaching those dudes of Steve Adazio. And Croft, again flushed from the pocket, looking for Rashad Still, number 88, incomplete, and marker down, yes. Daniel Capron is our referee, and he'll tell us about it.
Personal foul. Hands to the face. Defense, number 3. 15-yard penalty. First down.
Well, that's a big one on Rashawn Gary. I was talking to Dan Deerdorf, who handles the radio broadcast and stopped by and saw us earlier, Spencer. He said the thing about what's happening here with Gary and a few of these other guys, they have really been able to go into the state of New Jersey and get a lot of talent. And if you look around the global recruiting that's taking place here at Michigan, I mean, they've got players from really all across the country.
And Rashawn is from Paramus, New Jersey. Again, not necessarily known as a hub of football players, but he sure is one of the great ones that they produce.
Yep. Smith is stopped behind the line of scrimmage. Remember how effective that play was in their first 2 drives? McCrary and Winovich, 15 and 9, collaborate. They have snuffed out that play since.
Yeah, they stuffed it out, and Winovich did a nice job of doing his job and clearing, but the little dance afterwards, he kind of rose the boat himself. Shows that Wolverines can do the same thing, and he gets up and do a little dance after that. Look at him, row the boat.
Second and 12 with Rodney Smith in the backfield. Again, where is number 6? He's down at the bottom of your screen. Can they find Tyler Johnson? Croft under duress, wrapped up. He did get possibly outside the tackle box. No, it comes in right there.
Yeah, that was Hudson again in that Viper position. It's a dangerous position. Again, you got to identify him every time you come up to the line of scrimmage. Where is number 7?
Intentional grounding. Offense. Number 11. Spot foul. Loss of down. Third down.
He tried to get outside the tackle box, but really didn't.
Yeah, there's the Viper. See, he's no responsibility. Again, you're fronting him. If there's anybody the quarterback has got to be responsible for, particularly if he's facing the threat, that's his guy. You got to make him miss. It's tough to do with Hudson.
Turns into a 17-yard penalty, and it's 3rd and forever. McCrary in the backfield. You see the number of penalties there. Just the 2nd against Minnesota. Least penalized team in the country coming in.
Double gap pressure here.
No time. Off the edge. Down he goes. It started with McCray, number 9, but he had a lot of Wolverine help.
They move these guys around so much. He's typically the will linebacker. But as you said, number 9, he gets the chance to go here or here. He can come wherever there isn't a body to prevent him from doing it. He surveys it. He decides to come to that near side gap. He's eyeing, playing a spy technique. And then when his battery mates come down and collude, he gets in on the party.
4th and 35. So they went backward after they had initially gotten the first down off a penalty. Santoso boots it away. He's done a marvelous job tonight. He really has. Backtracking again, Donovan Peoples-Jones along that sideline, and great coverage by Minnesota.
Excellent coverage.
49-yard boot by Santoso. From a defensive standpoint, Jim Harbaugh very pleased with what Don Brown has accomplished. Get out of there after 3. Turnover margin has been for them throughout this year. And when you talk to their coordinator, Rob Smith, he would tell you that in a heartbeat, they need this. The light show is out.
Well, the stories about those rushing yards that they were giving up came in at 132 per. They'd given up nearly 270 by the half.
Yeah.
That's the story of this game.
Well, they told us coming in, Rob Smith, the defensive coordinator, says, you know, we're concerned about having to commit so many to stopping the run that we might get into some trouble and give up some big plays. Well, their worst nightmares have come true tonight with those 60 and 77-yard jaunts that we've seen from Evans and Karan Higdon. Chenault was involved on that stop after a gain of 5.
I'm actually surprised that Tim Drevno and Pep Hamilton hadn't really dialed up more in their throw game. I know that they're working in breaking in their quarterback, first-time starter at home in the big house, but again, when you establish that type of rushing attack, it just begs. The numbers are inside, trying to stop it. There's going to be some opportunities on the perimeter.
Zach Gentry, 83, is an outstanding tight end. They've not been able to get to him tonight either. They go jet sweep with McDoom. You hear the crowd with McDoom. McDoom on unison as he stopped at the 27, 28-yard line. Blake Cashman and Allende collaborate on the top.
Mo's got a nice job of, trying to make a guy miss. Spin move, stumble, fumble, fall drill with that left hand. That's great skill set there. He, along with number 4, Nico Collins, has usually been used in the return game in the Donovan Peoples-Jones. Those are some young, gifted guys that trying to work into this offensive scheme.
Well, look at that difference in rushing yards, 270 to 54. Now, Michigan, if you're thinking about their best of the year, was against Rutgers last week, 334. Already 270 tonight. Out of the pocket once again, a breakdown and protection, and Merrick Jackson, 93, the senior junior college transfer from Iowa Western, with the 3rd Minnesota sack.
Officials timeout for an injured player.
Big Merrick is from East Jackson, and get in my belly. He wants that, man. He comes hell-bent for election in there. Number 93 just says, hey, you look at this, man, his heavy. Watch him come underneath here. It's a game. He actually comes back around and eventually back underneath. He fooled him, the old okey-doke, from that defensive tackle position, usually anchored by Gary Moore. But Merrick says, I can do it, baby. Well, that's a big-time player right there.
Well, they quickly got out to take a look at Peters, and he let them know in no short order that he was okay and no need for concussion protocol. Mileski will await the punt from Brad Robbins. He is standing in free safety back at the Minnesota 40-yard line. Fair catch called for and taken at the 46. That will be excellent field position for the Golden Gophers to try to get something going here. And it appears that Peters is in pretty good shape, although they are taking a long look at him after that hit. Oh boy. Yeah. He got fed, and P.J. Fleck enjoyed it. Minnesota, I want to be clear, Brandon Peters got up, popped up quickly to let the training staff know he was okay. Therefore, in his mind, I'm in no need of maybe any concussion protocol, and a lot of teammates concerned about him. There's no denying in today's game, when you get hit like that, there will be concussion protocol. He's getting it during this timeout as Rodney Smith takes it ahead for 9 yards. Spencer, you got a good long look at this in the break.
And Merrick came in so heavy again. It's really the head, boom, how it bounced off the turf right there. That little unrepressed action with the head hitting the turf without being able to break your fall is what you get concerned about, because the back of the helmet where the cerebellum, that brain is kind of like floating, and when it's pressed up against that, it literally bruises sometimes potentially. Not inferring that that's what happens there, but you got to be concerned about that.
There goes McCrary in for the first down to the 42-yard line, stopped by Mike McCray. Holly Saunders tells us that the word from the Michigan sidelines is that he's okay. No one is tending to him now. They did take a long look during the timeout. But when a young man like that gets popped, quite like that, you want to see him pop up in a hurry, as he did. But coaches today understand that with the heightened look at what's been going on with head injuries, they must go through concussion protocol after a hit like that. On first down, play fake, and a bootleg action by Croft. And he dumped that one incomplete, intended for Wozniak. And let's send you to Greg Wolf in Los Angeles, this AT&T game break.
Tim, thanks. We go to Tuscaloosa, number 2, Alabama. They have trailed for a total of 2 minutes, 26 seconds all season. They have not trailed tonight against number 19 LSU. Jalen Hurts, 3-yard touchdown run. Tide lead 21-10 late third quarter. Tim, Spencer, back to you.
I think the startling aspect of that, it's just 21-10 at this stage.
I don't think LSU's line is as good as it has been historically, but
they're hanging tough, though.
They are.
Most people thought this would be blown out city by the time this third quarter got underway. Croft has it rejected by Hudson. That's a fumble. And Michigan's got it. Winovich on top of it. Number 15 off the assist from Khalid Hudson. The Viper has been a Viper and then some. He was not throwing. That's a fumble.
Pitt Viper, the key is Hudson never gave up on it. He actually passed Croft, who did a nice job of, as he has all night, stepping up in the pocket and avoiding the initial rush. But again, Hudson turned back around, never giving up on the play, was able to get that ball out before the hand came forward. Just a brilliant job of tenaciousness, just like a Wolverine. Number 7, the Viper, comes back. Again, you can see the pressure. He comes here and then initially gets past it because of the nice footwork. But again, gets back on his horse and goes after the quarterback because it's a tremendous job of stick-to-itiveness.
So it's first down. They scrimmage from the 46. That pass is incomplete. That, by the way, is the third forced fumble, first recovery for him, for Winovich. He's been very involved in those plays, as has Khalid Hudson. Defensively, Khalid Hill, the intended receiver there, and you see Peters is back on the field.
And that ball looked like it had a string on the end of it, though. Again,
it did.
That's why you want to be concerned, guys.
There have been protection breakdowns by Michigan in the passing game. And they've been so great at running downhill. Why stop? Ron Higdon takes it down near the 30. Duke McGee and Jacob Huff. Safeties are having to make a lot of tackles tonight for Minnesota.
You were right on point with that when you called it. Again, they came right back, showing you that versatility to read with the vision, and then the power to lower that helmet and then finish off Jacob Huff. Better anchor down before you get that guy.
13 carries, 188 yards for Higdon. And Chris Evans has come back into the game. They're doing all this tonight without Kareem Walker. Haven't called Ty Ezek's name. They're a little nicked up. Stretch play with Evans. They're getting 6-7 yards a tote against this Minnesota defense with its issues in its back end, yes. But Spencer, you got to say that this is a salty front seven that usually plays very smart defensively. This Minnesota team.
Yeah, right now Minnesota's kind of guessing wrong. Blake, Cashman 36 had pressure coming from the opposite side of where Michigan was running. Michigan is kind of in their wheelhouse right now from a play selection standpoint. Kind of got a beat on where they want to run the football away from the best assets that Minnesota has in their stop unit.
Nico Collins goes in motion as they hand it to Evans. And he is close to the first down yardage.
Nice tackle by Allende coming up from that field corner position. Again, when you're playing the field corner, that what we're talking about is the wide side of the field. Usually there's a lot of water that's out there. So if you're number 4, Allende, you want to make sure that you are sound in the way that you tackle because there's a lot of water or space outside of you because you're to the field, the wide side. Those guys tend to have a lot more athletic ability than the boundary corners.
On 3rd and 2, it's Higdon again. And he's got a first down inside the 20 at the 18. Antonio Chenault takes him down.
Chenault did a nice job on the boundary side, that short side, showing you some speed and burst despite that hamstring tweak he's been dealing with. Number 34 got on his high horse and made a play.
You keep waiting for that moment because of the run, the play action pass. With this commitment to stopping the run for Minnesota, will it be there? And if so, who will get it? If they allow Peters to throw the ball. Higdon off the pitch to the wide side. Stopped at the 17 by McGee and Huff again. Gain of 3. 2nd and 7 coming up.
It's a nice defensive effort. Again, the way they schematically tried to play that by getting Allende, number 4, to that wide side to not get outflanked. And everybody else is running and chasing behind him to fill it up. That was a nice, fluid defensive stop.
As was the case at the end of the half, a very tough sequence for this Minnesota defense. They need to hold Michigan to 3, and that's it to stay in this game. Chris Evans remains the I-back. Nothing doing this time.
Getting a little chippy in there. This is the evening moves on.
That was Galataboutier, 46. Winston, young man out of Baltimore, the sophomore, got a little extracurricular activity in there with the Wolverines.
No surprise that Thomas Barber, the inside linebacker, 41, was involved in that mix as well. He's awful stout, man, in that middle.
3rd down and 6. And Higdon's in the backfield. Again, Zach Gentry, 83. We've not called his name tonight. Shanley's had a couple of catches. They go flanked to the top of your screen, along with Ambry Thomas, the speed merchant, up at the top.
4 wide. Nice.
Back shoulder throw. He's got Peoples-Jones. It's first down and goal.
How about that? Going 4 wide down here inside the red area. And to the opposite side. It's just an individual matchup here. An outside release. A nice timing route on the back shoulder. Does a nice job. The ball was on the way out. So that's pure timing.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks don't have to think a lot. They just step back 1, 2, 3, square your shoulders and deliver it. That receiver's breaking his cut, and he's presenting his numbers.
They're working on the red shirt that they blew on the freshman Justice Harris there, number 26, who's been forced into duty. Higdon, Karan, can, touchdown!
Boy, Michigan breaking a trend here again. One of the traits of Minnesota's defense is as the game wears on, they tend to get stiffer, but not against Michigan. Back-to-back games where Michigan has found its running game. That mojo is working, particularly inside the red area, where they're scoring more frequently. Red zone was a problem for them coming in.
Higdon just passed Tim Biakabatuka for most rushing yards against Minnesota by a Michigan runner. Tim Biakabatuka. Boy, does that take you back?
Yeah.
Ordine puts the extra point in. It started with that. Grand larceny played by Hudson and Winovich. And then Karan takes it in. He's got 200 on the night, but still plenty of time remaining. A little rock and roll all night for the fans of Michigan here.
They've been rocking and rolling,
yes,
particularly with the run game, man.
That little back shoulder throw to Peoples-Jones against the freshman got them down on the doorstep for that last one. But Higdon's night, my goodness, 200 yards, tying a career high that he had against Indiana on October the 14th. Here's the kick down to McCrary. He fumbles it on the ground. Does Michigan have it? Or did McCrary manage to get on top of it? That's a great hustle play on his part because he was in trouble there. Oh boy. Things are bad enough already. Get on top of it. Golden Gophers need to giddy up quickly. Here is a look at our Ford unstoppable player, Khaleke Hudson. McKeesport, Pennsylvania is playing that Viper position, Spencer.
He has no responsibility. He can go where he needs to go. He's got a nose for the ball. And again, he shows you his ability to make sure tackles once he gets to that point. Whether it's from the edge here, relentless, staying active and engaged to create positive turnovers and points for his offense. This guy is unbelievable.
First down, the ball at the 14-yard line for Minnesota. Croft needs to find some help, and perhaps it could come in the form of Tyler Johnson, who does not have a touch tonight. Smith on the pitch, and he is corralled again behind the line of scrimmage, back at the 9.
Thought that was going to be an old Utah pass type style. It was going to go down as a pass attempt anyway, but this Michigan defense now is playing on the other side of the line of scrimmage, and that's what Minnesota could ill afford right now.
By the way, I wanted to mention that Kobe McCrary, after that fumble on the kick, he did manage to recover it, but he was dinged up. They had to come out and take a long look at him during the timeout we had. He was able to walk off the field under most of his own power. So that's good news. 2nd and 15. Croft in trouble, lets it fly. Tyler Johnson was the nearest to it, but that might be a stretch. He was outside the tackle box, so no flag, but it's 3rd and 15.
Furbush was in there as well. Again, there was just nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Furbush, number 59, got there, got that hand around him and brought him to the ground.
Yeah, that's the
nice clean tackle.
It's the aeronautical engineer that Jim Harbaugh couldn't stop telling us about. Young man is most difficult form of engineering at this magnificent school.
Jim proud of a number of his athletes who have done well in the classroom.
A football power and an academic power too. Michigan. Rodney Smith in at the Wildcat. Khaleke Hudson again. Still making an impression.
Wow. You know, the option game is supposed to neutralize athleticism and talent, but not if you've got a nose for the ball. You know, a lot of times that ball is going to be coming out, but you'll see him come here. The mesh point is supposed to maybe dissuade him from coming inside, but if you're reading it and you know where the ball is in the quarterback's hand, why even bother with the option guy? Go straight to the target. I'm telling you, Hudson's been fantastic in that skill set.
Well, they've been leaning on Ryan Santosa's leg all night long. He's been booting it beautifully.
Another one.
Peoples-Jones again backtracking. Takes it at his 36-yard line. Flags down as he is ushered out in Michigan, or I should say in Minnesota territory. We're going to mark him at the 46, but we'll check the flag. Daniel Capron, our referee, will tell us about it. 55-yard boot, 17-yard return. May be nullified here.
During the return, holding, return team number 23. 10-yard penalty, first down Michigan.
Well, tomorrow on Fox, a couple of MVPs on display in our feature game. Matty Ice and Cam Newton. And Russell Wilson and the Seahawks will be battling the Redskins. Check the listings, the local listings for the game in your area. The NFL on Fox. How about those New Orleans Saints? They've got quite a defense this year, much improved in that area and challenging in the NFC South.
They are impressive, and so is Seattle offense. It's always tough to play on the Pacific Northwest, but Russell Wilson has been balling.
Chris Evans is in the backfield. Number 12 will tote it again. And again. And again. Hello. How do you do? Touchdown, Michigan.
Tim, they say fatigue will make a coward of us all. Again, Evans on this basic play. ISO, nice vision inside. But then you see the burst here. He ran right past the field corner. Allende, number 4, ran right through his arms and then finished off an incredible run. Evans, boy, he's been impressive.
187 yards for him. 2 touchdowns. That's a 67-yarder to go with his 60-yarder earlier. And you add that to Karan Higdon's 200+, and that's something.
Timeout, Michigan, their first 30-second timeout.
By the way, they're going to go for 2, so they've taken a timeout, a 30-second timeout. But this is something P.J. Fleck simply not seen from his defense this year.
Well, he's not seen him give up this, but again, when you got a guy that runs with the type of vision that he does here, he's able to see where that pressure is coming from. And again, always measuring where he is relative to the sideline, able to make one guy miss and pass him, and just being aware. And it's just an outstanding job of smartly running down the field.
What we're witnessing tonight, Spencer, is a program that has reestablished its identity. And P.J. Fleck is unfortunately in the sacrificial position of being on the opposing side. Michigan is playing the kind of football that historically they've always run. Downhill, power football. And now they've got a freshman quarterback that's gaining some confidence with every snap. And they could become very dangerous these next 3 weeks after this kind of performance.
If they develop any kind of modicum of success in their throw game, they are going to be Michigan again sooner than later. But again, as far as PJ is concerned, look, he's a great motivator. He's a fantastic coach. He's just shorthanded, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. And it showed not just on that play, but all night in the run game.
Evans on the last lunge. I think they're going to say no. They're going to say that his knee hit prior to the time he got to the line, and the 2-point conversion fails. This angle should show us.
I think he may have.
No, he's not.
Elbow there.
Elbow's down. Yeah. I thought the knee and the elbow were both down simultaneously. Jacob Huff made the stop. They may review it. You never know.
Take a look
they
at
always do because it's a scoring play.
The previous play is under further review. The ruling on the field is that the runner was short of the goal line.
But I mean, think about it. You got 187 from Evans, 200 for Higdon. I mean, we haven't even seen Kareem Walker tonight because he got injured last week. All right, watch closely. The knee, the ball, and the elbow.
Let's lock it down.
Boom, the hip.
His hip still has a little hair there in the elbow, but look at the nose, maybe the side of the ball. Here, if this is the line right here, you draw a line straight through there, I think the side of that ball is simultaneously hitting when that ball.
Well, you're suggesting that when we froze it, his hip was not on the ground. If that, in fact, that's true, I agree with you. Yep. Dean Blandino is back in Los Angeles, and we may get him to weigh in on this as well. If, in fact, the hip was down when you suggested it was, and I think that's a 50-50 call, then I think you're right. All the ball has to do is cross the plane of the end zone. Dean, what do you see?
Yeah, we're looking for a body part other than a hand or a foot, and it looks like the right elbow hits, and the moment the point of the elbow hits, the ball may just be short of the goal line. I don't see enough evidence to overturn this.
After review, the ruling on the field stands as called. Yeah. The try is no good.
Yeah, I agree with you, Dean, although, Spencer, in truth, your point is really well taken.
Yeah, it is. It just looked to me, and Dino got it right, but it looked to me that the elbow and the ball connected at the same time.
Yeah.
In the front of the line, and the hip looked like had some air underneath it to me. But
by the way, if you're wondering why they chose to go for 2 there, they're looking to get that full 4-score lead. Coaches are always concerned with that, and usually it says, so the coach would always say, it's what's on the card. If it's on the card, I go with it. And that's the election to go for 2. Rodney Smith and Eric Carter are back deep as Fogue gets ready to boot it away. And now we'll see how PJ Fleck's team responds. This is really first time that they have seen their doors blown off at all in this season. There's Rodney Smith bringing it beyond the 20 to the 23-yard line. And let's get a quick game break from Los Angeles and Greg Wolf.
Tim, thanks. Back to number 10 Miami, trying to move to 8-0 against number 13 Vautech. Malik Rozier hooks up with Christopher Herndon, and Herndon, look at him go. 43 yards for the touchdown, makes it 28-10. Hurricanes, Fox Sports 1 baseball analyst Alex Rodriguez and his sweetheart J-Lo all in on the U. Committee might be as well if that score holds up, guys.
Any doubt that the U is in great shape?
Good Lord.
Yes.
Justin Fuente was doing an excellent job, and he still is. But tell him what.
I would give the committee a lot to think about on Tuesday. It's Rodney Smith out of the Wildcat again. You know, if you look back to Minnesota's game tonight, Spencer, they got 131 yards of offense in their first 2 drives. In their first 2 drives, one was a 75-yard touchdown to answer the 7-0 lead. Since that time, PJ Fleck's team has been absolutely stoned at the line of scrimmage.
Well, again, it's just because Michigan has found its sweet spot in its running game for the 2nd week in a row, and Minnesota hadn't been able to respond. Again, the note that we had at the halftime, that Minnesota had given up more yards in the half than they have in any single game all season long.
Croft audibilizing. Play clock is winding down. Play fake. Pressure and got it. It's Khalid Hudson. And he's having the kind of night you dream about playing in this defense out of that Viper position.
Well, the Viper position is what it is because, again, look how far. He looks almost like he's lackadaisical, not even paying attention. But he comes out of the position understanding that the play is away from him. He has no obligation but to get to the ball and the quarterback. He's just tremendous. Even though there's a receiver downfield, they're playing kind of an off-coverage look. They don't even have a chance to set up and square your shoulders to throw that ball with number 7 in your hip.
He's got no one open. I mean, they've absolutely been covered up. Tyler Johnson hasn't caught a ball. Wozniak is tight end, not involved at all in the offense, and he's been a go-to guy. Rodney Smith stopped by Chase Winovich. And markers fly at the 20-yard line. And we said it was getting chippy earlier. Now it's beginning to overrun. Now you realize it's a rivalry game, and the jug does matter to these guys. That's the offensive lineman, 73, Donnell Green, the junior from Marietta, Georgia, could not stop. And now coaching staffs are getting out there to separate. Even Harbaugh got out there.
Well, you never like to see unsportsmanlike conduct on the field, but I'm telling you, from a player's and a coach's standpoint, your left tackle in particular, Donnell Green, showing some vehement and vigor out there. I like that in a kid. It's not going to let him go down easy.
Well, we'll have to see what Daniel Cochran comes up with. Now P.J. Fleck is talking to the young man. Minus 36 yards of offense this half, and it definitely brought the temper out here.
There are fouls against each team.
That's a punch right there.
Unsportsmanlike conduct.
That's a punch.
Offense.
Yeah. That should be an ejection.
Well, the second man always gets caught. You know, Tyreek Kennel, the free safety, was
number
the one
73.
that initially pushed him.
Defense, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 14. Both of those players are disqualified from the game. The penalty's offset.
Metellus, the safety, Josh Metellus and Donnell Green are done for the night. Under no circumstances can you throw a punch, even if it's retaliatory. We did see that. Let's watch it again.
Yeah, but it should be instigated. See, here's the push right here. You guys in their back, you know.
Yeah.
And there's a second push.
Yeah, Kennel.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, and then
that's a tackle. Why would you even want to do that?
Right. Now here comes 14. This is where Metellus gets involved.
And I think Tyreek Kennel should be pushed out of the game as well.
Well, they got the retaliation from Metellus instead. Santoso will punt it away.
That is the end of the third quarter.
And we've come to the end of the third quarter. Raw emotion to close out this quarter. Michigan by a bundle. Minnesota trying to hold on. Very long conversation during the timeout. Jim Harbaugh and the officiating crew, side judge, back judge, as well as Daniel Cochran, our referee. We have two players that have been ejected. And we have a punt formation here for Santoso. Boots it away after some pressure coming. And Peoples-Jones will field it off the bounce. Beyond the 40.
Wow.
You know, if he had slipped that tackle, he had one man to beat, and he wanted it. All right, let's take a look in the huddle, brought to you by SoFi, the preferred financial company of the Big Ten Conference. And again, Spencer, you'll see what Jim Harbaugh had to say offensively. He also had a lot of concern, I think, for what had happened at the end of the quarter here.
Well, yeah, he's just trying to get his guys focused, number one, and try to get some clarity on what actually happened in the huddle. And it was a tough situation, but again, you got the hit. That was obviously a personal foul, but it was instigated previously by Tyreek Kennel. And again, the hand to the face. And I don't know what Dino, I'd love that he's trying to get the players off the field and try to calm the situation down. Again, I think this isn't settled yet. You can see these guys are on pins and needles.
Chris Evans in the backfield. We're going to have a penalty here, pre-snap.
False start. Offense, number 76. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
We're not sure that they're actually calling this a fighting penalty, but I know this. A punch was thrown by 73 Donnell Green.
Tim, there can be a targeting penalty called in that situation, although they didn't necessarily say it. If it's to the head and neck area, that player can be ejected.
Yeah, and I think the concern by Harbaugh was Metellus was the guy thrown out. As Marius weighs 85 on the receiving end, Metellus was the guy that was thrown out. And as you accurately pointed out, it was Kennel, number 23, that instigated. Now watch 14. This was after the punch had been thrown by Green earlier. And Metellus came over to take umbrage, and he got in his face. And we also don't know what was said. That's another fact.
Well, you know, a lot of these guys, it's about intimidation. You get in their personal space, in a context like that, you're expecting trouble.
2nd and 15 for Michigan. Evans on the stretch play. Good penetration there by Minnesota defensively. Barber, 41, shoves him out.
You know, we've always were taught, Tim, that context matters. I mean, when you're in a situation that's trying to be quailed and you come in there and get in front of a big old offensive tackle that outweighs you by 70 pounds, I mean, you get 2 feet from him, an inch from him, that's intimidation. I mean, these guys are human just like anyone else. They should hold their composure, no question. But that, in my opinion, was instigated.
That's McDoom in motion.
Nice call.
Yeah.
better play.
Yeah, really. The defense was aligned for it. That's Blake Cashman. He's had a good night.
He really has. And Cashman again stayed home. And his position back there at the outside linebacker, number 36, was at home. It was just a nice read and reaction.
Got a little statistical history for you here, my friend. Courtesy content coordinator Scott Alexander. Higdon and Evans have 385 combined rushing yards. That's breaking the previous Michigan record for rushing by a duo. 1979, Butch Woolfolk had 194. Lawrence Reed 179. 373 against whom? Minnesota.
Scotty going to the hole for that one. My old teammate, Butch Woolfolk.
Emileski lets that one go out of bounds inside the 20 when Minnesota comes back. All right, 1979 was a great year. 47 yards on that boot. The Wolverines in total control of this one.
At times you're trying to make sense of why things are the way that they are. And certainly P.J. Fleck doesn't need us to make any excuses. But there are 49 of Minnesota's 110 players that are freshmen or redshirt freshmen. That's 44%.
16 of his top 22 tonight were either true or redshirt freshmen.
Incredible.
Coming off a nice season and a bowl season of a year ago, the cupboard was a bit bare for him. I'm not sure everyone in the college football world was aware of that as Rodney Smith carries Devin Bush making the tackle. But yeah, you're right. But listen, this is a team and an understanding. They know where they're going. And their direction won't change because of his leadership. And like Jim Harbaugh, a guy that they understand played the game too. There are only a few in FBS currently that have NFL pedigree as player and coach.
They're the only two.
Yeah, in this conference, yes. Croft looking, looping, and that is Mark Williams. And well, the ball skill is there, and I think we've got a marker down. We'll check the flag as Kennel was down there.
Kennel, the free safety that was involved in a little extracurricular activity. We got a couple of players ejected. Nice coverage downfield.
Pass interference. Defense number 23.
Yep.
15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Well, Minnesota needed this just to get some field position.
Yeah, he's playing press coverage out here on the outside. He's locked up again. And then and then he comes back. I'm sorry about that. He comes back and then tries to put himself in a position. He's just, he's all of them like white on rice, man. He's not going anywhere.
8 penalties for 80 yards against the Wolverines. The ball out to the 31-yard line. Rodney Smith, the setback. We haven't heard of the tight end seeing the ball. Croft has had very little, if any, time. He ducks under here after a gain of 4 to the 35-yard line, and it's Khaleke Hudson again.
Yeah, he is.
You'll be seeing him in his sleep tonight. Listen, you look ahead at what Michigan has, Spencer, and from the Big Ten's perspective now in the aftermath of today, Wisconsin now, all right, is your bell cow if you're talking college football playoff possibilities. All right, we'll start with that. Nebraska gets to play Wisconsin in Madison in 2 weeks. They get Ohio State after that. Michigan's got a lot to play for after tonight. Smith dragged down, shy of the first down by a couple. Nora Forbush again making the tackle, number 59. Look, I mean, 6-2, yeah, but at Maryland, they struggled and lost today. Wisconsin got by, as they have all season long. Wisconsin needs this Michigan win. They would hope that Michigan would be ranked. That's the story in the East. With Ohio State losing today, their other loss, of course, to Oklahoma, who won at Bedlam today. And Michigan State right back in the thick of it and controlling its destiny. They get Ohio State next week. Smith stopped behind the line again.
You know, Tim, listening to everything you're saying, and to take advantage of the turn of events that happened today, if Michigan had any modicum of a passing game, they would be prime position to have a late run and make a lot of noise down the stretch.
You know, and the issue for them is that they're so young at that position. You know, Pep Hamilton was talking to us about that, and as young as Peters is, so too are the wide receiving core.
Officials timeout for an injured player.
Yeah, we got an injured. That's Weiler, who's been injured some this season. In fact, missed the game we had up in Minnesota against.
Scoreboard operator. Michigan has 2 timeouts remaining in the half.
To that point you were talking about, Amara Dorbor and Jashu Chesson and Jake Butt, those are the 3 top receiving targets, 2 receivers and 1 tight end. They're not here now. They had to replace all of those guys.
Let's get a quick game break. Back in Los Angeles, here again, Greg Wolf.
Tim, thanks. Over on FS1, history made in the Pac-12 between number 12 Washington and Oregon. Dante Pettis said coming into this year he didn't think he'd get many return opportunities because this is what can happen. His 9th career punt return for a touchdown. This one goes for 64 yards. That's a new NCAA record. He passes Antonio Perkins and Wes Welker. Frank Huskies lead the Ducks 10-3 second quarter. Tim, Spencer, back to you.
Well, that's his first punt return since we had him in Colorado about a month or so ago. And the crowd responds to Weiler as he makes his way limping back to the Minnesota sidelines. They really need him. He's the center. Jared Weiler means a lot to them as they try to move forward and become bowl eligible.
Well, there he is right there. You know, most centers are going to be making all the line calls. Again, he gets rolled up on here. You can see he's blocking, engaged, and then just gets rolled on the back of that heel there. That's a lot of humanity, man.
You wonder why. You look at that, and every time you see one of those injuries, you say, gosh, you'd think it happened more than it really does.
Yeah, particularly in between the tackles where guys are just jammed up in there, particularly in 4-man fronts.
4th and 3, and Peoples-Jones is back deep again for Santoso. He had 9 boots a week ago, and he's been outstanding again tonight. That hit is a heck of a hit at the 30-yard line. Cashman is meaning business as the game goes forward. We'll be back.
We create machines that make every experience more intense.
Ability is top notch, but I still bleed green. I'm still a Spartan at heart, guys. I can see the hate mail coming my way already for that.
Yeah, well, they had a good day today. Let's just leave it this way, Holly. It's been a great day for the state of Michigan. How about that?
That's right.
Chris Evans carries. By the way, you mentioned fielding Yost there. Mentioned Bob Hoofer a little earlier, and Bob would have been saying if he were here tonight, fielding Yost and the General Bo Schembechler. He always compared him to Patton back in the day. He'd be saying, they're smiling upstairs for Michigan right now.
Well, they may not be the point-a-minute men, but this ground game has been outstanding.
Bob Hoofer was too. Michigan, what some of the great legendary radio voices were across the country at that time, similar to Larry Munson of Georgia, so many other outstanding voices of the great game of college football. That's Evans, stopped by Blake Cashman. Touched on him earlier. He made that play in special teams on the punt a moment ago. That kid's played with heart. PJ Fleck's going to be really satisfied with him when he goes into the film room.
By the way, what's the pantheon in Michigan's history of coaches? Now, obviously, there are 3 that stand out.
I mean, Fritz Chrysler.
Fritz Chrysler, absolutely.
I mean, Bo. You know, Gary Moeller had that period along with Lloyd Carr. And those 3 Heismans, Tom Harmon, Desmond Howard, Charles Woodson. Winningest program in college football history, 941 victories overall. And Harbaugh, of course, as a kid, was on the field and watching and taking part in some of those big moments. Knew he was going to be here. That pass was intended for McDoom. I loved his story about Bo Schembechler's son, Shimmy, who was at his house when he was in the 5th grade. Shimmy wouldn't come down. He was up there playing with Mattel Talking Football.
That's right, enjoying themselves.
And he and his brother John were up in the attic. They had a home on the other side of the tracks. Jim loves to call it that. You know, we didn't live where Bo lived.
That's right.
But
their house was considerably smaller than Bo's.
But trust me, Schembechler was recruiting him even then when he was in the 6th grade. And by the way, our friend Les Miles tonight, I know he's thinking about Bo, and as close to the modern day Bo as there was. There's a fumble by Himmelski.
That's twice tonight, Tim.
Yeah. I think he recovered it, though. McCrary had one, Himmelski with another, but he did get on top of it just in time after the muff. 41-yard boot. The team, the team, the team.
Play as a team. The old season is over. You and I know. It's going to be Michigan again.
Life lessons learned, Spencer, from the great Bo Schembechler.
My favorite quote of Bo was, "Those who stay will be champions."
Jonathan Finley Cole is coming to the game for Minnesota. The running back, and Croft is looping one deep. Boy, over the shoulder and dropped by Rashad Still. He should have caught that. It was difficult. He had to look over the off shoulder, but David Long was right there with him.
It was, and that's one of the toughest things, though, to track a ball over your shoulder where you begin on the inside, but it ends up over your shoulder. That's a tough catch on the sideline.
I'm old enough to say that I actually covered a game that Bo Schembechler was coaching, and it was Jim Harbaugh's last in Hawaii against Dick Tomey's 86.
86?
End of the 86 season on the very day that Jim finished third in the Heisman balloting. The year Vinny Testaverde won. Jonathan Finley Cole gets ahead for about a yard. They told Jim I was on the sidelines at that time working for the 4-letter cable network. And I talked with Bo before the game and begged him to do an interview with me.
He turned you down?
And he said, first, I don't want to do it. And then he talked to Bruce Made, the longtime sports information man, and he said, you know, he seems like he's all right. I'll talk to him if we win. But make sure he asks me questions I like.
He was both lion and lamb, though, wasn't he?
No, he was a softie. He really was. And that's one of the things you had to love about Bo Schembechler. On third down. Finley Cole. Look at that. Fresh legs from Jonathan. Redshirt sophomore out of Vaughan, Ontario. So from north of the border, we're almost north of the border here.
Somebody's still playing. Again, it shows you nice vision. And again, presence of mind to put that right stiff arm out there in your face and say, well, let me get about 5 more after that contact.
Still a lot of pride in this Minnesota team.
No question about that.
This will drop them below 500. See the jet sweep to Philip Howard. He had 2 big catches early in the game, but Khaleke Hudson all over him there, and another loss.
Once again, he comes out of that hole and he comes hell-bent. I mean, just right there on his back. I mean, when you have a guy that has the luxury of not having an assignment to worry about it, that's the greatest form of freedom for a defender. No assignment, no responsibility other than go make a tackle.
Michigan with 13 tackles for loss in this game, and you see the numbers on Hudson. 2nd and 15. Looking for and finding Tyler Johnson at long last. He makes a catch. That's the first reception of the game.
I think that was Brandon Watson, number 28, defending on that far side. It's a nice throw. Nice loft, enough air underneath it. Again, gets pushed out of bounds, but that was a perfectly thrown pass on the far side of the field for a significant gain. They did about 3 or 4 more of those earlier in the game.
The ruling on the field was a completed pass. That ruling is under further review.
So we'll see if the actual touch for Tyler Johnson holds up. Coming into tonight's game, he had 31 catches for 591 yards, only 5 completions for Minnesota on the night. Now you see that ball coming loose. Did he complete?
Yep, that's the language.
Catch?
And again, I think,
and you see the foot is in. 2 of them are in, but you got to complete it.
I think that may end up standing. It looks like to me that he completes the catch there. His feet is in bounds as he's going to the ground. It comes out. That angle to me suggests it's a catch.
All right, let's hear from Dean Blandino and see what he thinks in Los Angeles. Dean, what do you have?
Yeah, the issue here is whether the receiver completed the catch while
after
upright
review,
and then
the
was
ruling on the
knocked
field
to
is
the ground.
confirmed. First down.
Yep, they are going to confirm it. Thank you, Dean. I'm with you, and Spencer, you were eloquent in your description that, yeah, he had the ball for a long enough period of time before the ground actually caused the ball to come loose. Well, it's such a pleasure to have Dean Blandino or Mike Pereira with us when we have those situations.
They're the best, man.
I've gotten to a point when I'm watching a game and they have this, and without their expertise, I miss something. You know, I want to hear from those guys virtually every game. Jonathan Finley Cole ahead for a couple of yards. And now, a quick word from Duracell.
Duracell is the #1 trusted brand.
By the way, make sure you have your clocks
That's right.
Battery charged with Duracell tonight as we fall back, right?
With the late start, we're going to appreciate that.
We'll appreciate that with that 6 a.m. flight we've got tomorrow. 2nd down and 9 coming up. Croft, well, he had time, decided to tuck it, saw a lot of green grass. A smart move, really. And he's only a few yards away from a 1st down.
You know, Tim, I don't know if you really sitting at home can appreciate what's taking place so late in the game where it's so one-sided. But any threat of a receiving attack changes what a defense is doing. Even at this late stage, I can see soft spots developing on the back end for Michigan's defense, and it's because of the big play given up on the perimeter. The corners are starting to play more of a 2-deep concept, cheating toward the corner to help out. That softens up the middle of the field. And if you can play that chess match, you can have some success.
On 3rd and 4, Femi Cole from Old Canada gets awfully close. Looks to be maybe about the length of the ball short. Well, maybe if he gets the right foot. I think he did. Got the right foot spot, and it's 1st down. They can get a 1st down without benefit of the touchdown. This kid's running hard.
Well, running physical, and again, one of the rare opportunities or chances where the Viper was actually fooled on an option play inside. He's running heavy.
In most games, in man coverage, Tyler Johnson would be targeted in a heartbeat. We'll see if number 6 can get his 2nd catch. There he is up at the top.
This guy right here can play the deep 3rd, but he's not. So you get a one-on-one opportunity up here.
That pass is overthrown, intended for Brandon Ingrid, the tight end, 86.
Instead, he throws into double coverage. Actually, it was triple coverage on that side. Again, you got all the wide side of the field. If you've got one legitimate receiver that can beat man coverage, this is like stealing over here to the wide side of the field.
Well, Philip Howard is over there, and so is Tyler Johnson as they set their formation here on 2nd down and 10. Femi Cole remains the setback, number 28.
So you can push this route up here and do this if you want to.
Little switch route?
You can move the switch route if you want to. If this guy doesn't drop back, you have the inside slant here. He's probably going to drop in coverage.
Croft. This is great bootleg action. Give him the option to run or throw. I like that. To the wide side of the field.
Well, guys pulling the ball down so fast is usually because he's not surveying or diagnosing what they're doing in the coverage. And give Don Brown credit. He's kind of like a baby Dick LeBeau. Dick LeBeau,
I love that.
He can confuse you with zone blitz combinations. He'll have defensive linemen dropping back in coverage. And what you read initially isn't what it ends up being. So you got to make sure that you're making the right read.
3rd down and 4. There's Don. What a career he's had.
He's an expert at making you see more than what you should see as a signal caller.
He was a high school coach in 1981. It all took off after that. Yep. Flags down, pre-snap.
False start. Offense. Number 76. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
Don Brown, the defensive coordinator, was actually a high school coach at White River Junction in Vermont. And in the winter of '81, some opportunities came his way to coach in college. He wound up staying in high school for a period of time. Boy, I love that signal. And
that's a hook.
That's the Moeller defense.
He says he's got
Get
the
your
hook.
Moeller fixed.
You got to watch the hook route.
Get the announcer off the field.
This little bunch formation right here.
Exactly.
They can do some funky things with that if they want to, and I've never seen them in it. So get ready.
3rd and 9. Croft trying to ad-lib and running out of time. White River Junction is across White River from Dartmouth in New Hampshire. And we've got a flag down. We'll have to check on that. Came down late.
Don was telling us 98 was his inflection year. You remember the narrative we talked about?
Offside. Number 4 of the defense lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 3rd down.
Don's looking at to find out exactly what's happening in his coverage, guys. Jones, as he makes his way off the field,
yeah,
he's coaching him up.
Yeah, Reuben Jones.
So you can look at the vision. His eyes come down, and he's trying to find and locate. Once your eyes come off coverage, it's one of the most difficult things to do, to come back and re-diagnose what you just read, because the coverage is always changing. Nice.
There's the pass into the end zone.
Incomplete.
Incomplete. Johnson had it, and Kennel was able to knock it loose.
Well, I'm going to put this on the shoulders of the quarterback. And again, I'll tell you why, Tim. When that receiver, or if it's a tight end, doesn't matter, is that wide open, just put it on him right now. Don't put any air underneath it. You put the ball up in the air and the guy can go up and contest that shot. Is exactly what happened on that play.
Now the good news is that was a third down play, so they will try to get 3 out of this. Emmett Carpenter comes in to try the field goal. And a timeout taken by Michigan.
Timeout, Michigan, their second.
1:55 remaining. The Gophers trying to get a field goal try through when we return. It's been all Wolverines all night long.
Hi guys, so this is the all-new Chevy Equinox.
It's gorgeous.
It offers heated and ventilated front seats, heated
33-7 our score, 1:55 is remaining, and the field goal try coming for Emmett Carpenter. 22 of 24, 91%. This is a very efficient kicker out of the hold of Jacob Herbers. And he boots it through. So the Golden Gophers get on the scoreboard in the second half. Time now for the expectation-shattering drive of the game. It's sponsored by Buick and Karan here, huh?
Wouldn't you really drive a Buick? He was driving all night long, man. Overdrive. Carrying it high and tight. Evans with a nice job of making you move. I mean, both of them as a tandem did a fantastic job, along with his battery mate Higdon back there in the back, and just no answer.
Well, we've shown Karan enough. We needed to show Evans, right? He has 191 and Higdon with 200 even. 33-10 our score with 1:51 remaining. I just loved that story that we were talking about with Don Brown, and you know, there are different ways that coaches make it in this business, as you see the numbers on the running backs. And for that guy to really be told by some friends of his, listen, go back to high school, you'll get the job in college, and he did. Wound up with Dartmouth, and then literally when he did get the opportunity, the tycoon Joe Moglia was the guy that he replaced.
You meet some interesting parties along the way. TD Ameritrade. I think he's still emeritus chairman of that organization.
He gave a lot of money to Coastal Carolina. Team that won the College World Series a couple of years ago. It's a different path for a lot of guys in the coaching profession. Here's Ambry Thomas. A little stutter step there, and he hits the deck at the 19-yard line. This has been a vintage performance by Michigan tonight. But still one of those games, Spencer, where Harbaugh and Pep Hamilton, a lot of other guys can say, listen, guys, we got to do a better job at protecting our quarterback in the passing game.
Yeah, they can do a better job of that. And again, in their throw game, they've got plenty of room for improvement as well. But their quarterback has acquitted himself. And today in his second start, we've got another Sigma caller in.
Yeah, Alex Malzone is going to come in, youngster from Farmington Hills, Michigan.
Number 97 of Michigan is now wearing number 72.
That's Steven Spinellis, who at times is tackle eligible. That six-man front when they go twin tight ends. He'll go back to his usual 72 and be a part of that offensive line. Alex Malzone, that quarterback. You know, the McCaffrey kid is also outstanding. They've got, he's another one of those youngsters. Omari Samuels, number 23, carries for the first time tonight.
They were in that two tights look that you were mentioning just a minute ago, and again, 12 personnel.
There's the jug spins. There it is.
There it is. The little earthen.
You know what the big running joke around Michigan is this week? You know what's inside the jug? A Michigan depth chart.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
I've been hearing that one all week.
Well, you guys had a nice smile and short of an embrace. It was very cordial.
Jim and I are good friends. Yeah, we had a great talk, and I want to thank the staff here at Michigan, Jim, and
wonderful job.
By the way, all of the coordinators that we had a chance to visit with. Listen, Jim and I go way, way back, and it wasn't one of my finer moments, and he was protecting his team and wants the competition level of all of his players to stay great. That's the reason why he does not put out a flip card or too deep depth chart. And, you know, I was able to apologize. He accepted, and we moved on.
It was a great moment, and as to your point about how they treated us, it was an outstanding, nearly 2 hours out of the swim.
As the most thorough meeting before a game in my 32 years of broadcasting.
Dave and his group did a fantastic job.
Samuels remains in the backfield. And I will tell you that one of the great things about our profession, partner, is that you can be in it for a long time and still experience a first. I loved being here for the first time.
Absolutely,
Absolutely
like the big
loved it.
house.
And great to share it with you, my friend.
Pleasure's mine, my friend.